Dude, what are you doing in my chair?
Oh, I was looking for you. I wanted to see how you were handling the retool.
That's fine. No biggie.
Really? I expected this to be harder for you.
Why?
Well, you guys haven't missed the playoffs in like 8 years. I just, thought you would handle it worse.
But that's because we're not missing the playoffs?
I mean, you're not technically eliminated, but it's not a great situation.
Really?
I mean, yeah, that's pretty obvious.
This is really how you're spending your time, you of all people?
What do you mean?
You're trying to tear me down. Act like I don't have it anymore. Well, last time I checked, I was 2 points out of a playoff spot and on a win streak.
I mean, 2 games.
2's a streak, buddy! You know, I don't know how they do it in Buffalo, but in Boston, we earn everything. We don't quit. We fight. We will scrape and we will claw for every inch of ice we get. We will be the absolute nightmare for every opponent we meet. Hearts of lions. We bear down. We don't just shrug our shoulders and say, we'll get them next time. No, maybe in Buffalo, not in Boston, because we care, and there isn't anything that you or anyone else can do to change that fact. That's who Boston is.
Hey, your boys just got their asses beat by the Ottawa Senators.
Well, that's the season. Hey, great chat, buddy. Can't wait to see you next year. We'll get them next time, I'll tell you. All right. Alrighty, bye-bye.
What? Low quality fans of a high quality Bruins team, that is not a dub. No, sir. An important not a dub. A very important not a dub. God, it was entertaining though, wasn't it? We're going to talk a little bit about that, but watching Bruins hockey, little more fun lately. And there's probably a few reasons for it, but a little more fun. It was an entertaining game, and Ullmark was so great. Gosh, he was so great. I know he allowed 3 goals, but whew, what a goalie he is. What a goalie he is. I'm not taking, I don't want to do the whole, compliments Ullmark, so now I got to crap on Swayman. The problem is, in this game, Ullmark made the big saves, but really the big save that kept us from really pushing, right? Really making that next leap into making the Senators' hands shake a little bit, putting the pressure on. And Swayman was largely the reason that we were down as much as we were. I want to get something very straight before we talk about more Swayman stuff later. I am a Swayman believer. I really do believe that in the long run, the contract will work out. He will be a great goaltender. It's gonna be okay. It really is. I firmly believe that. I'm also not blind to, this has not been a great season for Swayman. I can be both things. I can still believe in the guy and also notice, hey, not great. Some games, pretty dang good, if not great. And then other games, not so much. Not so much. This would be one of those games, obviously, because he didn't finish the game, or even close to finish the game. Hey, the Discord's below if you want to check it out. I appreciate you guys. Follow me on Twitter. Yeah. Thank you to the high quality inspectors, as always. So let's talk a little bit about this Ottawa team. 14th on the power play, 19th on the penalty kill, 17th on offense, 10th on defense. Ullmark has been a huge part of their success this year, posted a .913 save percentage. He's been really good, though he has only started 30 games due to injuries. Actually, I don't even know if he started. I just saw that he was listed he had played 30 games. If he was, this team might be firmly in a playoff spot. They're pretty firm already. But they're already pretty much in there. They're in the first wild card spot. They've got a couple of point lead as well as a few games at hand, things of that nature. But it feels like if Ullmark was healthy the whole season and he was at the 40 game mark, that's at least a couple more wins, right? Guy's brilliant. They made a great trade. They made a great trade to get him. That's just, Ullmark's great. What can you say? He's great. This team, I wouldn't say the Senators are a cup contender. I don't think anyone would say that, but they've fought, they clawed, they've had win streaks of 4+ games, they've had loss streaks of 4+ games. It's been a really weird season up and down for them, but if they make the playoffs, it's just huge. It's just huge for them, right? This is the way the franchise needs to be moving at this point. There's a lot of pressure on them. They have a bunch of young, good players. Like, you need to now start competing at the next level, which looks like they're pretty well on their way to do that. We are 1-1-1 against them this season going into this game. They currently sit in that top wildcard spot, as I noted, 5 points ahead of us, again, at the start of this game, 5 points ahead of us with 2 games in hand. It's a stretch to say that that deficit can be easily made up in 16 games, but a win here would have been a huge boost for that. A loss, well, down by 7 points and they have 2 games in hand, maybe we just, if we're actually thinking about potentially making a run at the playoffs, it's that second wildcard spot. That's really what we're looking at, because the Blue Jackets lost again tonight. Yeah, we have 4 teams we need to hop, but hey, optimism. Yeah. They made a big splash at the deadline, too, which is interesting because they basically swapped Norris and his history of injuries for Dylan Cousins. I know there's other real pieces in this trade, but that being said, it really is, the heart of it is a Norris for Cousins swap. It's an interesting trade because I believe you won't know who won this trade for a couple of years. Because Cousins flashed a higher ceiling, in my opinion, than Norris has. Even though Norris actually has a higher offensive output than Cousins. But I always thought Cousins was just a more complete player, had a higher element to his game, could be one of those true franchise, I don't know about franchise players, but part of your core that you're trying to win a cup with. Norris is sort of there to me. Like, he's less of a yes in my head in that sense. All that being said, Cousins can't seem to replicate that and can't seem to find consistency and those flashing of those high ceiling moments. And Norris can't stay healthy and hasn't been able to really grow into the player that he's supposed to be, even with his higher offensive output. I think Norris is great too. This is one of those trades where it's just going to take a lot of time to figure out who really succeeded in it. One of those guys will probably end up having a better career than the other, and then you can kind of look at it that way. Although, again, there's other pieces on that. So, an interesting trade. I kind of saw it as one of your high value, my problem for your problem trades, where both these guys are making $7 million plus for a long time now. They signed these big contracts, and neither one is living up to the expectations that the other front office had wanted from them, so they swapped them. An interesting move, to be sure. I think it was more important for Buffalo to make that move than it was for Ottawa, but we'll see who it works out for. The good news for Ottawa is you traded with Buffalo, and if the universe can screw over a hockey team, well, we know who has a target on their back. It's Buffalo. It's a team I would trade with 100 times out of 100, just because odds are the universe wants to screw them. So you'll probably win out on the trade. You can't even yell at me for that. If there's a Sabres fan in the comments, you tell me why I'm wrong, all right? You just let me know. I feel bad for Buffalo, man. I really do. I dunk on them too much. All right, let's talk about the Bruins a little bit here. Geeky Zakapasta. I just look at the name. I know how to say it. Who's Nadinov? I just have to pause sometimes. Lindholm, Lauko, Kepke, Middlestat, Letary, Beecher, Brown, Kostelik, Zadorov, Yogi Haru, Lorai, Peak, Wotherspoon, Mitchell, and then Swayman. In net, a win would have put Swayman at 100 wins. He would be the 10th Bruins in Bruins goaltender history. I can't speak right now. He would be the 10th franchise goalie to reach 100 wins. Feels weird, right? We've had a lot of great goaltenders, but I don't know. That just feels weird. That's what they said on the broadcast, though. I'm going to believe them. Obviously, Hampus Lindholm and Charlie McAvoy still out. Don't expect either of them back anytime soon, if this season at all. Like, comment, subscribe. Nailed it. Let's talk about this game. Puck drops! And somebody didn't see the puck drop. I would argue 20 people didn't see the puck drop, including the coaching staff. Actually, it's 23, 24. The Boston Bruins weren't super ready for this one. And I think we all assumed they were overachieving with their last couple of games. But in the first period, it became really evident that the magic was starting to run out. 3:44 in after a bad icing by Peak. Peak had a brutal game again. He's been okay through the season. There's been highs and lows with him. It feels like every time I criticize him, people get kind of upset at me, which I find odd. But he's had some real stinkers lately. Some real tough ones. This was a tough one for him. So the Bruins are able to recover from this icing because they win the faceoff and they win it back to Peak, who flubs his next play, and the puck ends up in his skates, and it allows, I don't even remember who got him. Amadio, I think, gets in first on the forecheck, and then it's basically, they're just going to manhandle him until they take the puck away. It's Greg that comes away with it. He is going to start stringing his way up along that left wall, and then he's going to punt it over to Pinto, who is on the inside left side of the slot. Now, Peak recovered, rushes up to get on Pinto's back. Pinto actually has his back to the net. And I don't know if Swayman, who has Amadio and Lori battling in front of him, if he tries to go around on the right side, thinking that Pinto's going to move to the slot, so he tries to peek around the screen in the wrong direction. Pinto moves the opposite side towards the circle to turn and shoot. Swayman does get his head back around that way, and looks like he should have had time to catch this. And it just goes off of him and in. I mean, I heard it hit him. It hit him somewhere. But he didn't get enough of it, and it's 1-0. And that's a pretty tough goal to give up right away, right? Yeah, you have a screen in front of you, but it's a shot from relative distance with real visuals. Like, you can see that. You can track that puck. Just a weird goal to allow. A softie. Not a super softie, but a somewhat softie. Did not like this goal. That's just me. Well, 6:32 in. Our first shot on net. Wanted to point that out. Peak from distance. It wasn't a good start. By the way, the shots were, I want to say 5-0 at the time of their first goal. The Bruins just didn't wake up. So shots are 6-1 at the 6.5 minute mark. 9:09 in. Bruins are getting picked apart. It's just another shift where they're running all around, just trying to catch up to the Senators. The Senators were forechecking well, and they were moving the puck really well. And the Bruins defense and the forwards, when they were playing defense, are just scrambling. They can't seem to catch up to anything. This team got faster. It didn't get that much better. During all of this, the puck is going to move to the right point. Martin Paulo, I don't know how to say his name. This is the only time I heard his name the whole game, I feel like. He smashes it intentionally wide so it bounces up to the left wall, where I believe Clevin will skate in, collect the puck, and he is just going to get the puck to the net. And Swayman can see it clearly, and there's a little bit of distance. He's in that far circle. He just beats Swayman, high blocker shoulder, and it's 2-0. It just wasn't a sharp start for Swayman. Like, I don't think this was a good shot, right? It was a good shot, but he gets beat clean. It's an $8 million goaltender. Don't like it. I feel like I have to defend my goaltender takes because usually I really try to defend goaltenders, but not a good start. Ottawa starts a chant saying Ullmark's better. They start chanting Ullmark's better, and frankly, nothing from this season will prove them otherwise. That's just, you just got to take your lumps when they're coming, and you got to take your lumps there. Our third shot of the game, 9:03 left. Middlestat lays a strong, speedy forecheck, creates an opportunity for Lettieri to join in and get the puck to the left point to Wotherspoon, who hammers this down behind the net. Lettieri collects, skates around the net, flings it into the crease when Middlestat skated right through two guys to chip this high blocker side, kind of Bardowski-esque, and that's Middlestat's first as a Boston Bruin. Whoop, whoop. 2-1. I'm like, okay, all right, hold on. Lettieri, great play, first of all. Really solid game from Lettieri. I mean, I know I've been critical of him playing in the NHL over some of these other guys, but this was a really good game by him. And also Middlestat. So we're back into it. It's a one-goal game. We looked completely lost. We're getting outshot by 1 billion. Just one goal. Just got to play a tighter game going forward. We wouldn't. 7:59 left. Pastrnak kind of skates right through Ullmark. He has his back turned to him, and he just kind of glides in, and he makes contact. Ullmark does die, and then he gets up. But you know how goalies, you tap them without any reason. They get blindsided a little bit, but he You know, so Pasternak's not super jazzed about that. Of course, Sanderson has to come over and defend his goaltender. Got no grudges about that. He cross-checks Pasta. Pasta goes down. At some point, he gets hit in the face with a stick. I think it was Pinto's. I don't know. Whole thing. Pasta's okay. Sanderson's okay. Omar's fine. But Pasta and Sanderson are both going to go for minors. Pasta for goaltender interference, and Sanderson, of course, for cross-checking. Nothing's going to happen during that. 4:48 left. Beecher for interference. Stützle, which we've talked about it before, the dude's a diver. He's just an absolute ridiculous diver. It's one of those players I have a hard time having a ton of respect for because he's brilliant offensively, but he just absolutely died on this play. His heart stopped. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Somehow, he was back on the ice for the power play. It's a medical miracle. Not sure how they managed it. Shout out to the Senators medical team because I don't know how they did it. About a minute later, Bruins can't catch up. It's just the theme of the game for a lot of it. They can't catch up. The puck movement is brilliant. A lot of credit to the Senators, who his power play looks good when they're healthy. It gets moved pretty well. So it's going to go for the top of the slot, over to the right circle, down to Tkachuk, who's on the goal line, Swayman's glove side, and he's just going to immediately swing this to Sanderson, who's the bottom of the far circle, was a wide open net. He's going to bury this. Obviously, this one's not on Swayman. Like, what are you supposed to do? It's 3-1. It's a power play goal for them. All right, it's a 2-goal game. It is the first period. You're still very much in this. 22 seconds later. Lohrei clears a puck up the left wall after Swayman mishandles the puck, allowing the Senators to catch up and get more of that forecheck pressure in. The fast puck up the wall is actually mishandled by Lettieri. I know I just complimented him. It was like the one negative thing he did all game, who tips this into the high slot for Pinto, who slams this to the net. Save is made, but Grieg is right there to collect and swing it past the sprawled out Swayman. It's 4-1. Again, not completely Swayman's fault. I would have liked him to swallow this up a little bit more. The rebound was right to Grieg. But at this point, you got to pull Swayman. It's 4 goals off of like 14 or 15 shots. It's not his night. It's not his night. 2 of them were real bad goals, too. Like, it's not his night. He will stay in for the rest of the period. He won't be in for the second. Korpisalo will take over. 2:33 left. Lauko's going to go for delay of game. It felt like the wheels were coming off, but we do kill it. And we're kind of, okay, this is a 3-goal game, but like, it's winnable. I have a confession to make. The skit that I made for this video, I made that during the first intermission. It was a 3-goal lead, and I had a good idea for it. I thought it was funny, so I just went and made it, and then it worked out for me in the end. So it's fine, right? It's fine. I don't think that affected the game, right? Right? Second period, Korpisalo starts. He was going to be really solid. About 5 minutes in, Lauko goes down the tunnel. He would return. He's going to go down the tunnel twice in this game. He returns each time. 6:59 in. A weird delay by Ullmark, just a weird hesitation, gives the top line time to put in some more forechecking pressure. Ullmark is eventually going to try to clear it up the wall, but Zacha jumps on Grieg, forces him to make a poor pass to the top of the slot for Beecher, who's going to hammer this on net. Pasta gets the tip, beats Ullmark blocker side. Huge goal by Pasta. It is now 4-2. You're down by 2, still relatively early in the second period. You're back in this game. This is a very identical play to the Grieg goal, to the 4th goal. I just thought that was a weird comparison. Like, force some pressure on the side, poor pass right up to the top of the slot, hammered on net, a guy alone in front. We take those. 8:59 left. The Senators in transition. The puck is forced to the net front and gets smacked to the right wall by Korpisalo. Lettieri and Batherson go for it. Lettieri isn't going to win this. Batherson's going to win the battle. He's going to pump the puck out just a little bit to pair up Perron, who feeds Shabbat at the left point, who's going to launch this at the net. It's deflected by Cousins wide to the left. It bounces behind the net and then up to the opposite side. What's really frustrating about this, so that deflection goes off the back wall, bounces up on the opposite side. So it goes by the left side of the net, bounces to the right side of the net, where Batherson, who skated from that battle on the wall all the way over, gets to just bump it into the open net. Yoki Harju was watching that board battle take place initially, skated back towards the front of his net, watched that deflected shot go past him on the left side, starts skating around the back of the net and realizes too late it's bouncing to the right side where his man was waiting to pump it in. Yoki Harju was caught puck watching that whole time. He didn't react to any of that the right way. He should have stayed on a body. He was on an island alone. He was helping nothing defensively. Bummer. He's also getting used to a new system and everything like that. I'm not going to crush the guy too bad. I'm not a big Yoki Haru guy, but we'll see where it goes. I'm also not a huge Middlesex guy, and Middlesex been pretty good so far. So, it's just going to take me a little while to come around on certain players that I haven't liked on other teams, but I'm going to try to be as honest as I can as I break down their play. But this is a bad one for him. So it makes it 5-3, 5-2, spoiler alert, 5-2, and it really pushes down the whole excitement about this team making a comeback here. 6:05 left. Elias Lindholm with a great play. He's had a couple of these lately. Waking up a little bit. I'm not going to be upset about that. He's sprinting to a puck in the neutral zone, gets there first, realizes he's got basically one bit of support. He can either clear this down deep into their zone so we can lay a forecheck, or Huznadinov is skating full kilt through the neutral zone. Little behind the back, no look pass to him. Huznadinov picks it up and starts sprinting towards the net, and with his speed alone, he gets in on the breakaway. Just like that. It might be the first time this season I've watched our player not receive a long pass and get a breakaway out of it. Just pure, absolute speed. He beats Olmark, glove side. It's 5-3. It's just a 2-goal game. Yeah, he's pretty good. And Huznadinov, I really like watching this kid play. He's 22. If he can find some more offensive touch, there's something there, man. 4:34 left. Gaudette's going to go for holding the stick. The Bruins have a chance here with the power play. Nothing cooking, unfortunately. There's some nice plays there, but can't get to the net. 1:29 left. This is where the game was basically decided. As Huznadinov, skating down the left side, has the puck across the slot. Beautiful pass to Lohrei, who's got a wide open net. Olmark was fully committed on the one side. The shot's not perfect. It's a little inside, but still, it's a shot that should have been a goal. And Olmark, with a save of the year candidate, dives across, gets it with the glove. No rebound or nothing. What a save. What a save. And so now, instead of going into the third period down by 1, and the Senators reeling a little bit, it's complete momentum. Olmark just saved their ass on a huge chance, and it just feels like that's that. And the Bruins would fight. They would fight the rest of the game, but that's that. The third period doesn't have a lot of notes here. We pull our goalie. We pull Korpisalo with about 4:15 left for the extra attacker. They end up getting an empty netter around 1-ish minute left by Giroux. So 6-3 final. What a game by Olmark, honestly. Again, his stats aren't crazy good in this one. I don't think we hit 30 shots. I can double check here, did we? No, 25 shots and 3 goals allowed. But either way, he made the big save when it was necessary. He allowed a breakaway goal. He was great. He was great. And Swayman, one of my game notes here, not Swayman's night, man. Not Swayman's best game. And as people begin to slowly migrate towards thinking about the offseason and what it's going to look like, there's really going to be a lot of debate about the net conversation. There's going to be. If Swayman can't handle a true number one workload, which is a debatable thing because the season started weird, and I don't know, there's not a lot of good stats to say that he can start 3 games in a row, And I know that that's largely gone from the league, but you're still paying the guy a lot, so you expect him to be able to have a solid showing in the majority of his starts. So there's going to be a real debate. The debate's a little weird right now because a lot of people are talking about, how Korpisalo is a better goalie than Swayman. Korpisalo's numbers are worse than Swayman's this year. I'm just throwing that out. A little fun fact. But that being said, the fact that it's even a conversation that which one's actually playing better than the others is really not great for Swayman. That's not a great topic. So there'll be a lot of talk about that. I would express patience. I would preach patience. Swayman's still going to be given the number 1 role next year. That's not going to change. And hopefully he can really lock it down. Because if he can, this team's trajectory really changes. And if he can't, it gets, a little more concerning. Let's call it that. Other game notes here. Middlestat, I will likely, as I mentioned earlier, be slower to come around on him. Because I just haven't, I don't love the player, but I don't hate him either. I don't think he's like a bad player. He's not a very, I don't know if he's a huge needle mover, in my opinion. I've never really felt that way about him. He's been really consistent. His forecheck has been excellent. It's heavy. It's difficult to escape from. He goes to the dirty areas pretty frequently. Guy plays a really strong hockey style, and so far, I'm pretty happy. I think we should all be pretty happy. He's got 3 points in 3 games, I think. great. I mean, you bring us more of that. You can be a real 2C. Yes, this is really good. This is really good. So I'm gonna be slower to come around on real judgments for some of these guys. Yoki Haru and Middlestat especially. Huznadinov, of course, and Minton, I haven't been able to watch enough to prior have an opinion about, so they just kind of get a fresh slate with me. Honestly, I should do the same for the other two, but yeah, I might be slower to come around on what kind of players they are, but so far, Middlestat specifically, really solid. A lot to be happy about there. 3 games, but we'll see. Last game note here. The video's going kind of long, but I know it might be Stockholm Syndrome. I'm aware of that, but this team is way more entertaining than the pre-deadline team, just to watch. I'm not saying they're good, right? I think we know that they're overperforming those last 2 games, but I was ready for them to quit. They were down 4-1, and they came out with fire in the second, and they were fighting for it, and they were outskilled. The puck was moving around them. They couldn't catch up, but they didn't stop fighting. They did not stop fighting at all. And I feel like we've watched a lot of games this year where the team stopped fighting. And it was gross. So this team's more entertaining, way more interesting to watch. And if we get 15 losses in a row for the last 15 games, but they play like this, I can live with that, right? I just couldn't keep watching this team just give up on games. Just couldn't do it. So I like this newer version of the Bruins, honestly. I'm having more fun watching them. It also probably helps that the pressure's off, right? My expectation isn't to make the playoffs. My optimism is, but my expectation knows where we're at. So we'll see how this continues, but definitely a more entertaining watch. Go Bees. Go Bees! And of course, here at the end of the video, I love to give some shout outs to the fantastic high quality inspectors who help support the channel and keep this running. I super appreciate every single one of you, from the role player tier, the top line tier, and of course the all-star tier. We are going to do our shout outs for this top line tier. Thank you so much to Sean Kreider, Michael Kammerer, Chris and Erica, Kevin Timperley, Quack and Platypus, JM, Shaggy, Adam Ella, Albert Waldron, Negev79, Lola Cattingsworth, EKM Productions, Moonlighter TV, Big Bad Bruin, The Bugman, Jeff with a G, Tommy Braga, Roland22, GD Viperworks, Len Kreutz, Brock Nope, Han Slobo, Coach D, The Atomic Lizard, Bradley Johnson, Brett Arney, Pincent, and Nick Zatrullo. Thank you so much, each and every one of you. Your top line material. But now we got to move on to our all-star tier members, the absolute legends. We have Jacob Pratt, Jake Brower, Dampen, JG's 12, Mark S., Ann Hustis, Tim R., Lorenzo Wood, Penny Pasta, Levi Catalani, Boston Stringler, Bagel, Nightmare Eco, John Kirk, Joel, Heil E. Coyote, Darren Woodbury, Abraxion, Wolf Warrior, Vinny, Adrian Winter, Tupton D. Tashi, Bruins Smash, D.A. Kingery, The Only Newts, A Tasty Snack, Dutes42, and Jeremy. Thank you all for all of the support and love that you are all giving. I appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, Go Bees!